Happy Friday, guys. It's Mr. Delaney coming at you again from my home office, I guess. I don't really have a home office. This is just like my hallway. This is it. This is a hallway that happens to have a bookshelf in it, so it looks cool if I do a whole poetry reading here. So, As of the last Friday, every Friday is going to be now Poetry Fridays, and this goes up at about 1:30. Granted, I'm going to put this up before 1:30. I'm just going to then link it at 1:30 so everyone can listen to it. No edits, no nothing, just streaming video. It is slightly raining currently based on the sights that I'm seeing on the side of my house. I live on the third floor, so literally I'm just looking at the roof next to me and seeing if it's raining. I've got two books of poetry today, I guess, is a good way of putting it. There's technically three, if I so want to go into a third one. The first is Imperfect, as we've been reading with the 7th grade all year. And I have somehow already lost the page on the thing that I wanted to read before. So, instead of that, I will... God bless you, Jacqueline. My girlfriend just sneezed. She is off for today, but she is an essential worker. So she has been working her butt off every day for the past week. Well, for the past month or two since everything started. That being said, Imperfect, poems about mistakes, an anthology for middle schoolers, put together by Tabitha Yeats. These poems are going to be from people, or at least one is going to be from someone you might not expect. So, Wasting Time. I long to run and hear the beat of my feet slapping the pavement. I long to read and hear the words jumping off of the pages and humming. I long to listen to the music thumping until I feel like I'm flying. I know I have to concentrate, but I still sit on the desk while the sun is sinking and the moon is floating to the surface. The pages won't write themselves. All I have is time. The hands of the clock are moving so slowly. It could be under ice. My mind is completely open. It is full of ideas that have just crossed through. Before I know it, I go into a world of fictional places. There I am able to think of anything. I can lie down without worrying. I will fall into debt to time. This moment lasts less than a minute. Soon, the work is even more piled up. If I could have written down a schedule, or made time instead of lying down, I would have been able to ace that test. I would have been able to understand each subject. But the people who wish for time waste it the most, so I long to run and hear the beat of my feet slapping the pavement. I long to read and hear the words jumping off the pages and humming. I long to listen to the music, thumping until I feel like I'm flying. Reese Hoffman, 7th grade. So, Reese is a 7th grader who got brought up into this anthology, which I find is really cool because we don't often read from authors who are the same age, roughly, as the people listening to the stories. We did once with kind of where Suzanne Collins was going, but it's not as often as I wish we would. All right, so this next one is called Time Bomb. It's by Sally Murphy. There's a time bomb in our letterbox. Tick, tick, ticking. Insidiously ticking. Not one can hear it but me. Tick, tick, ticking. Counting down the time. Till Mom checks the mail. When she opens it, she will explode. A letter from school. Sally Murphy. All right. let's see. I've got this very pretty little book made of one of my friends. This is Grillo's The Moon Poems. I was debating whether or not I wanted to read this stuff just because of the concept of whether or not it was all 100% appropriate. But I always get into a moment of, you've read this poem before, but you've never really heard it. So I figured if I was going to give you a chance to hear a poem, one that you've actually wanted, or not wanted, but one of the ones you've actually read before, it might be nice to hear it, because maybe it'll change something in the way that you've understood it. So this one is called "The Moon is a Spider's Egg." When its mouth opens, when it cracks like a shell, they will fall from the sky like meteors, land on every shore, and spread out like trees. She's actually a local poet from Jersey City, as well as from Lyndhurst, New Jersey, I guess, but mainly right now from Jersey City. And last but not least, for our Poetry Friday, which I'll remind you is meant to just have and allow you guys to listen and take in poetry as we used to do in class, that we don't have the ability to do every single day now, but you still have the opportunity. So this is actually from a book that some of you might remember. It's called Brown Girl Dreamin'. It's by Jacqueline Woodson. Jacqueline Woodson, this is much further into the book than any of you guys got. I actually still have Where Mr. Bunsett's class from last year ended with a little bookmark by Chris Castillo. So how about we go a little bit further in, and it's called Writing Number 1. I've got Writing Number 1, and I've got Late Autumn, and those will be the last two poems I read today. This part of Brown Girl Dreaming is our title and our title character, or our main character, Jacqueline. She has now moved from the south up towards New York City, where she is in school and trying to figure out how to kind of like deal with the problems of growing up and being a writer, because she will become a writer, obviously, with the fact that we're reading her book. So this is called Writing Number 1. It's easier to make up stories than it is to write them down. When I speak, the words come pouring out of me. The story wakes up and walks all over the room, sits in a chair, crosses one leg over the other, and says, "Let me introduce myself." Then just starts going on and on, but as I bend over my composition notebook, only my name comes quickly, each letter neatly printed between pale blue lines. Then white space and air, and me wondering, how do I spell introduce? Trying again and again, until there is nothing but pink bits of eraser and a hole now where a story should be. I guarantee all of us have felt that type of dissonance before. A moment where you want to create something, or you want to write something, or you want to produce something, make something musically, and the moment that you try to put everything down on paper, it just kind of doesn't go. And I think that there's a lot that there can be learned from that. This is an author who has written a very big book of poetry, and even she, when she was starting out, could just not get past a moment. And I feel like that probably never changed for her. That's probably a thing that kept going. As a person who still writes consistently, I find that I am sometimes trapped into the concept of, well, do I do it this way or do I do it that way? And it's great. Now, our last poem for today, Late Autumn. Miss Moskowitz calls us up one by one and says, "Come up to the board and write your name." When it's my turn, I walk down the aisle from my seat in the back, write Jacqueline Woodson, the way I've done 100 times, turned back towards my seat, proud as anything, of a name in white letters on a dusty blackboard. But Miss Mostowitz stops me, says, "In cursive, too, please." But the Q in Jacqueline is too hard, so I write Jackie Woodson for the first time. Struggle only a little bit with the K. "Is that what you want us to call you?" I want to say, "No, my name is Jacqueline," but I'm scared of that cursive Q. Know that I may never be able to connect it to the C and the U. As I nod, even though I am lying. So, a few poems today, 10 minutes, not taking up too much of your time. That was really loud, I'm so sorry. Not taking up too much of your time. It is Friday, May 1st. I have no messages for you other than the standard one. This is a trying time. We don't know when we're going to go back to school. We don't know when we're going to go back to a normal. Arguably, the normal that we lived in can't exist anymore. We need to change. That's what this whole big problem has shown us. And with that, we need to understand how best to help us. And it's hard. It's so hard. But we're worth it. We are worth the attempts at getting better. We are worth the attempts at passing. We are worth the attempts at finding new things that we love. If anything, this break from a reality that we had before could be a time for us to understand ourselves a bit better. So, as a teacher and as a writer and as a person just dealing with the same craziness you guys are dealing with, it's our time to make a good go of who we want to be. Now, it's been 12 minutes and 26 seconds. I hope to see you. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'll be sending you stuff on Monday. Bye, everybody.